According to Guy Fieri, cooking is all about people. Food is the only universal thing that really has the power to bring people together. No matter the culture, everywhere around the world, people eat together. Food connects and binds people and families. In many families, the dining table is where most conversations are shared, building wonderful memories that last a lifetime. Hello, everyone. My name is Nirmatika Ortiz, and welcome to our peaceful classroom. Our peaceful classroom is a dedicated space where parents, teachers, and other professionals come together to talk about ideas on how to promote positivity and peace in the lives of our children and teens. Today, we are joined by Dr. Gail Reyes Galang, the executive producer of our peaceful classroom. She is also the Associate Director of the Center for Peace Education and the Department Chairperson of the Family Studies program in Miriam College. Dr. Gail joins us as the host of the event, Peaceful Parenting, a dash of Miriam College love with culinary expert Miss Diane Ramos from Maryknoll College High School, batch 1979. Miss Diane Ramos is the proprietor of A La Diane, a restaurant established in the heart of Quezon City along Panay Avenue in the 1980s. Her signature dish includes pot roast, chicken a la king, chicken Alexandra, and apple pie. In this episode, she shares with us her fondest memories growing up, the humble beginnings of A La Diane, stories of love and motherhood. Let's join in the conversation and enjoy learning how to cook different recipes that will surely elevate our home-cooked meals.
Well, summer is fast approaching, and while your kids may still prefer to play online with their friends, preparing meals and eating together will form their childhood memories in their future. So, this is something that we must still have at present. So, these days, when we are at home most of the time, we sometimes find ourselves running out of ideas on what to cook, what to prepare, because we are always at home. And well, we also worry that our kids might not be getting that nutrition that we want them to have, especially when online delivery is so convenient. And sometimes the food and the drinks that are available via delivery is more enticing, no? And convenient. And so as moms or dads, we try to compete with that. So today and in the next two episodes of our peaceful parenting webinars, we will focus on meals. Okay, we will focus on meals for the family. But more than just focusing on the recipes, which anyone can just search online or can just watch on YouTube, what we will go deeper into would be how to prepare and eat meals together. So allowing memories to form in our families, having those mindful bonding moments, which sometimes we take for granted because we are all at home. So joining us today, we are so lucky, and this is like a reunion. I see Mrs. Morales here. She was principal of the Child Study Center, and I was assistant principal of the Child Study Center when Diane Ramos was a parent in the Child Study Center. Well, she's also an alumna of the Marinol College High School, batch 1979. And for college, she graduated from UP Diliman with a degree in BS HRA, and this was in 1984. So Diane is a natural cook, and she's a natural foodie, and she has attended classes conducted by chefs Reggie Aspiras, Henny Season, and Sylvia Reynosa Gala. Okay, so joining us also later on are students from the BS Tourism Management Department of Miriam College, because they are also our co-sponsors for today's webinar. So, hi, Diane. So, Diane is going to speak to us from her kitchen. Okay, Diane. And she has prepared for us certain recipes that are very easy to do. Hello, Diane. And I asked her to assume that people really don't know much about cooking, but maybe just like to cook. Okay. So let's wait for Diane to turn on her camera so she can show to us her kitchen. And yes, hi, Diane.
Hi, good afternoon, Miss Gail, Miss Cynthia Morales. Kamusta po?
So this is like a homecoming for you. Welcome back as an alumna also of Marinol Miriam College.
Thank you very much for having me today and for inviting me.
Okay, Diane, let's talk first about your childhood because you didn't start up to be so perfect right away, right? So let's have a little bit of a show and tell for just a few minutes before we get into the real cooking. Okay, and maybe some people would still like to catch up. Can you tell us how it was like growing up in the Galura household?
At home, we ate very simple meals. They were mostly prepared by our helpers because my mother was working 6 days a week. I'm the only child. I'm sandwiched by two brothers. On Sundays, which is the only day off for my mother, she tried her best to cook for us. She liked to bake prawns, bake clams, bake mussels, puro bake, and all with cheese and garlic. I guess it's easy for her. She also makes this sandwich filling that up to now is my favorite, although nobody else in the family likes it. It's made of crushed pineapple, grated cheese, and mayonnaise. Ganun kasimple, and I love it.
Okay, Diane, so you mentioned that you're the only girl, in between two boys. So how was it like? So what are these photos about?
First communion at St. Teresa's College. As a child, I really wasn't into cooking. I was hardly in the kitchen. My exposure to food was during Sundays when we would go out after Mass or go out to dinner after a movie. So what stuck in my mind were my favorites in all those restaurants, which I brought to my first A La Diane in 84.
All right. So let's fast forward a bit, Diane. This time when this is your family of origin. Let's go to your family of procreation. Okay, so of course there.
Okay,
So you had your sweetheart. So a little bit about love story muna before we go into cooking.
that's why she was my high school boyfriend, but we didn't marry right away. I met him when I was 15, but we got married when I was 30 already. I I started, during this 1 year pandemic, like you said earlier, Miss Gail, it's so hard to plan a menu day in and day out. These men are always hungry. So the recipes I'm going to present to you later are actually very versatile. I buy several kilos of ground beef, saute them, and then freeze them, and then it can become soup, it can become pasta, it can become torta or a frittata. Same with the chicken a la king recipes. I buy lots of chicken already, make the basic sauce and freeze them. Oh, by the way, that's my bunso Stevie, and he's my favorite. Stevie's a chocolate Labrador.
Yeah, so he's your kitchen companion.
Yeah, he's always beside me. Except today, I told him to get out because he might bark.
Okay, so we're very excited. Let's see, no? Even before this, okay, I'm sure you always had these bonding moments with your family, right? And it's I can see in the photos that sometimes it's all also about eating together.
Always, all the time. That's my father. I lost him last September, and that made me decide to contribute recipes to the Philippine Daily Inquirer when I was feeling particularly sad. I just thought I'd like to pay him a tribute through the
Yes, I think later you're going to show us the recipe inspired by your father, no? And it's one way of making sure that their memories stay on with us. Okay, so before this, you had your A La Diane.
recipe.
Okay, do we have? Okay, so here are more bonding photos. There, A La Diane.
That was the
So was
very
it your mom who encouraged you to open
1994
this?
in at the National Bookstore in Quezon Avenue. It was tiny. It was just 27 square meter, and I could seat 20. But people traffic there was spectacular. Never a dull moment from opening to closing because you're beside the bookstore, beside Mercury Drug, and beside Tropical Hot Supermarket. Plus, the two big TV stations were just nearby, Channel 2 and Channel 7. So we were always
What
starting
types of food did you serve in A La Diane?
in 1984. Okay. Because I opened A La Diane almost straight out of college. I had no work experience. So I said I shouldn't make the menu too fancy. Otherwise, ako lang mahihirapan. So my menu was based on my favorites at the restaurants we frequented. For example, I served pot roast beef and hot fudge sundae because I like them from Casa de Oro. Then I like the spaghetti bolognese of Makati Supermarket, so I had those. And my favorite dessert from my travels was apple pie. So I had that, and it became my bestseller up to now. I had chicken a la king because I love the puff pastry of La Cibeles and Dulcinea. So mostly ginaya ko lang talaga sa favorite restaurants ko. Oh, and also I like the mango crepe samurai at the jeepney restaurant of Intercon.
Yeah, I know about your apple streusel and your mango crepe. You know, when we have a very special occasion, we always make it a point to order from you, and it's only because we have a special occasion there. Okay, and then I understand that you also ventured into kiddie parties.
Yes, yes. When I started having kids, medyo sunod-sunod sila, I thought, why not just learn to cater? I cook for them, decorate. But and it was it felt good for me to be doing that for the children. But of course, I also had some help from classmates from Marinol. Raisa Santos had Party Network, and Cynthia Bernabe had Wishworks. So they helped me make the venue really beautiful. But the food was from me. Yes.
Yes, so thank you for sharing that. So here are your early photos of A La Diane, and you see here the people are still in their 1980s, 1990s look.
No, the print on the left was a gift from a friend of mine. She was the dean of interior design in UP. And then from that 20-seater A La Diane, I had a bigger one that could accommodate 100, also along Quezon Avenue. I was able to run it for almost 9 years until motherhood got in the way. So it was very difficult already for me to manage two restaurants. That's one of my best friends, by the way. That's Evelyn Fernando and her husband Eric, and their son Henry.
Yes, nice. Okay, so it's so nice to look back into these photos, and I think we are ready and warmed up to hear about your first recipe that you will share with us.
Right. Okay. This hearty beef macaroni soup is sort of like a knockoff of the minestrone. My children don't like vegetables, so I always think of ways to incorporate vegetables in their dishes. So this is a good way of hiding the vegetables. So we start with olive oil. It's always good to start with olive oil, and then there's garlic, chopped onions. I used white onions for this recipe, ground beef, carrots, potatoes, celery, and canned tomatoes. Of course, you can also use fresh tomatoes, but I kind of like the water that comes with the canned tomato. It gives more flavor. 6 cups of soup. If you have time, it's always best to buy beef bones and then brown them in olive oil and add water. You can add vegetables. Just dump whatever vegetables you have because they will always contribute good flavor. Put a whole garlic, put chopped onions, put celery leaves, cabbage, carrots, anything. It will make your soup stock more delicious. But of course, if you don't have time, there's always the bouillon and the cubes. Maybe for 6 cups of water, you can put 2 bouillon cubes. And then there's a tablespoon of Italian seasoning, the dried one, of course. But if you have the fresh leaves, you can put basil, thyme, or oregano. That's basically what Italian seasoning is. And then salt and pepper to taste. To decorate, I mean, I always add the macaroni and the white beans last so they don't get mushy. So I cook the macaroni first just to get it out of the way. Just follow the package instructions. They're almost always on point. And then you drain it and set aside. Then use a heavy sauce pot because of all the simmering. It takes time. So it's better if you have a sauce pot that's heavy bottom so you don't burn your food. So like I said, it's good to start with good olive oil and then you saute the onions. Remember before, it was parang standard to start with sauteing the garlic and then the onions. But I noticed this last few years, pwede nang baligtad. Because normally you burn the garlic, especially if you're not really paying attention. So to avoid burning the garlic, you can start with white onions, with sauteing the onions, and then the garlic. Once it smells good already, you put your ground beef, cook it until there's no more blood, there's no pink color anymore on your meat, and then you start adding the vegetables. By the way, when you dice your carrots, potatoes, and celery, make sure they're of uniform sizes so they cook at the same time. Because if one is too big and one's too small, the other one's gonna be mushy, and the rest are going to still be hard. So I try to keep the size uniform. And then after putting in your vegetables, you season with salt and pepper and the dried herbs. Then I add the canned tomatoes and the soup stock. This is when I lower the heat and simmer. Be careful
Okay,
to overcook the vegetables.
all right.
And
So maybe we can go over the ingredients once again. And I think some people would like to take a snapshot of the ingredients. Okay, so while people are taking a snapshot or if they're taking down notes, maybe, as a newbie cook, I'd like to ask if I were going to use real tomatoes, how many tomatoes will I use?
probably a half kilo of chopped tomatoes. That
Okay, so when you chop them, you just chop a tomato into four pieces, or do you dice them?
a little smaller, dice them.
Okay. And then for the soup stock, it's 6 cups. And if you have no time and you're just is it the beef bouillon that you use?
Maybe
Is,
two cubes to 6 cups.
okay, so, okay. Can you also use, for example, you don't have beef, but you have chicken, the
Sure,
chicken cube, you can use it, it's fine.
you can. In fact, for the meat, you can use ground chicken if you want something healthier. You can,
Okay.
of course.
So for the Italian seasoning, what can be placed here?
If you have
Um,
fresh, if you have the basil, thyme, and oregano, that will do too. But of course, not everyone always has those available, so I placed Italian seasoning instead. Those in the bottle.
okay. Okay, and when in doubt, they can always take a look at the photo on how it is chopped.
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to the next set of ingredients, and this is more for garnish.
Like I said, I add the macaroni and the beans last, so they don't get mushy in your soup.
Okay, and then let's go to the recipe itself. So there, you said that it's all right to do the garlic first, then you can add the oil next. Or is it oil first, then garlic?
The oil first, and then, like I said, lately I've been starting with the onions, so as not to burn my garlic.
Ah, I see.
Yes, unlike before
Okay.
the
So oil, onion, garlic.
garlic. Yes, and then the beef, and make sure it there's no pink anymore. It's well cooked before you add your vegetables.
Okay. So check the color first of the beef and then add your carrots, potatoes. Make sure that they're like the same size.
Yes.
Okay, so that they would cook evenly almost at the same time.
Yeah.
And then the season with salt and pepper, sometimes it's hard to decide. Like, how do you know when it's too much or less?
There was a guide there. I think I said 2 teaspoons fine salt and a teaspoon of pepper. But then you'll have to taste again because it depends on your soup stock, on how salty or bland it was to begin with
So to be safe, follow the measurement first.
initially.
Yes.
I was going to say this recipe looks like a lot because it can make 12 cups. But, like our family, if we get 2 servings each, ubos na siya in one sitting. And this recipe freezes well. If you like to freeze it, maybe don't add all the macaroni and then don't add all the beans. Just add those when you're ready to reheat. It says too that you can add spinach, and I can also add corn kernels, drained corn kernels.
Okay. So when you add the soup stock, you stir and you simmer. Does it mean that you wait for it also to boil a bit?
Yes, but on very low fire. Don't make it a
Okay.
long boil. Just simmer. That way you incorporate more flavor and you don't burn the ingredients at the bottom.
Okay, so don't burn. Yes.
You will know
And
when to stop when the texture of the carrots, the celery, and the potatoes are just right. Not raw, not matigas, but not soft also.
so maybe they should still taste, I mean, try it. If they can like bite into it nicely, then
I agree.
you're ready to put in the macaroni and the white beans.
True.
So the white beans cook easily. That's why it's in the last.
Yes, it's soft, especially the canned one. Unless you want to start with the raw white beans, which you have to soak and then cook. But to make things easier, I just place the canned white beans, cannellini beans.
Okay, I think that's very easy to do, and maybe some of us can already try it tonight. And there's a note here for leftovers: keep well in the freezer.
Uh,
Okay, so thank you for this, Miss Diane. Maybe let's now move on to the next one.
okay, here. It's actually chicken a la king, but because it was from my father and it was his favorite, I just changed it to chicken a la ding, which was my father's favorite. So we can start with preparing the bread cups. I usually just use the regular loaf bread, and then I use a rolling pin to make it thin. Later I'll show you, and then mold it into muffin cups. Or you can buy the patty shells from, right now French Baker does it. Yes, those two. Those two can be your molds. So for the chicken stock, I used a kilo of thigh or breast fillet skinless. And to flavor my stock, I threw in celery stalks, a white onion, carrot, and peppercorns, and rock salt. Then I placed enough water in a heavy pot to cover everything. And just like any good broth, you do not rush, you simmer for a long time. And then you remove the foam that forms on top, because that's parang the dirt. And when you're done, also taste your stock, of course. And when you're done, you strain everything so you're left with a clear chicken stock. And then, like I said, if you don't have time, again, there's the bouillon.
Okay. So this is chicken alading, and later on, you said, Diane, that we are going to show um, some actual finished products. We have that now in your kitchen.
Yes, we'll do that.
Yes, but for now, we're just showing everyone the recipe with the ingredients and the
This what
procedure.
we need right now is just for the soup stock. Okay. After you've cooked your chicken, you cool it and you dice it into cubes. And to make your filling, you start with butter, white onions, carrots, green bell pepper, sliced mushrooms. You can use fresh or canned. And to thicken your filling, you need flour, fresh milk, the reserved soup stock, and again season with salt and pepper. And I add the green peas last. So I melt the butter, add the onions. This time there's no garlic. Then I add the carrots, the mushrooms, and the bell pepper. I add the flour as my thickener. Stir just quickly, then add the chicken meat and the soup stock and season it. Because this is a white sauce, make sure it doesn't burn. So your flame should always be very low. And then once it's thick enough, you use it to fill up the patty shells or the bread cups that you bake yourselves using the loaf bread. And garnish with parsley.
Okay. Do we have another slide about chicken alading?
Oh, okay. Like I said earlier, because my brood is always hungry, I make big batches. This recipe I showed you for the filling is very, very versatile, very basic. If you keep some and put it in the freezer, it can be your base for a chicken noodle soup. Just add any noodle, any pasta shape that you like, add more stock, and it becomes soup. Also, this same recipe for the filling can become chicken Alexander. I remove the milk because I don't want it to be wet. And then I add some minced garlic and sliced chorizos to the when I saute it. I arrange it in a Pyrex, in a rectangular Pyrex dish. And then I add mashed potatoes and grated cheese. And I bake at 350 for maybe 15 minutes, just until the mashed potatoes are golden brown. So from that one chicken a la king recipe, we have a noodle soup and we have chicken Alexander. And then in the next slide, yeah, that same filling can also be the filling for your savory crepes. This one in the picture is actually not a crepe, it's a quesadilla. But I don't think the recipe's here. But what I did with that was I removed the milk. I added Mexican cheese. I added bell peppers, and then I filled two tortillas with that. Then you just pan fry. No fancy equipment needed. Just pan fry until it's brown, and that's how it's going to look. That's the quesadilla. For the crepe, we need a white sauce. We need bechamel sauce, and we do that by combining 1 cup flour, water, fresh milk. Sorry, I meant for the crepe itself. If you have time to make it, it's not intimidating at all. It's very easy. It's like a pancake. It's like a hot cake that's very thin. And the ingredients for that are the all-purpose flour, the water, the fresh milk, whole eggs, melted butter, melted and cooled butter, and salt. Just combine everything, and then if you have a crepe maker, good. But if you don't have any Teflon or non-stick skillet pan, maybe 6 to 8 inches, depending on the size of the crepe that you like. I usually use a measuring cup, maybe 1/4 cup for each crepe, and then I swirl it until it's really thin. It just takes seconds to cook. And then after you've made your crepe, use the filling that you have, roll it, arrange it on the Pyrex, pour the white sauce, some more cheese, and bake for a few minutes, also at 350 degrees. The recipe
Okay.
for the
For
white
the crepe, you need a crepe maker.
no,
So
no, I don't even have a crepe maker. I just use a Teflon.
non-stick pan.
Yeah, you can use the 6 inch or the 8 inch depending on the size that you want. Here's the soup that I made earlier. Let's pretend it's really, really hot. Then we add, like I said, I add the white beans last, and the cooked elbow macaroni. See how chunky and rich. When we have this, we don't have it with anything else anymore. Just garlic bread or sometimes breadsticks if I have. Okay. Ladle.
For everyone to be able to view, be sure that you are on speaker view. Okay, so check your settings so that it can be on speaker view.
Mhm. All right. So here.
So while Diane is preparing that, maybe are there any questions about the hearty beef macaroni soup? We can have it in the chat box. Maybe there are things that you'd like to be clarified about.
Okay. You can you might want to put the slice of bread on top with some Parmesan cheese. And because I have basil, I'll put basil. If you don't have, just put parsley. Or you can just have the bread on the side. Very nakakabusog. So there.
And it's also very healthy for children. I'm sure they'll like that.
There it is. Okay. It just looks matrabaho, but if you do your preparation early enough, you should be enough. You should be okay. So that's it for our soup. Like I said, you
Okay.
don't need anything else with this. This is filling enough.
Yeah, that can be everyone's entire dinner. And it's really also very good for those who are really also watching what they eat. Okay. Diane, are you going to show us something on
Chicken?
the chicken a la Diane?
Yes, yes. Here. Like I said, I just used ordinary loaf bread. And then I just trim the crust. I think it's clear. Trim the crust. It's nice if you buy bread that's still soft. That way, it's easier to flatten. Because if you buy bread that's kind of old already, it's gonna be hard to flatten.
Okay, so Diane, you're flattening the bread, and this bread will serve as your crust, right?
Some here already that I
Okay.
molded and toasted. So now you just sort of brush, so it's easier to remove after baking. Just put a little oil on your molds. Okay. So after maybe 5 minutes in the oven, watch your oven, of course, so you don't burn your bread. Just push it down well. And then later, see, it's going to come out easily as long as you oil the bottom, your mold, I mean. I usually toast this at 350 for about 5 minutes. And then I have some ready filling.
So you have to toast the bread first, or the crust, before you put the filling. You
Oh, yeah.
don't put the filling and the bread and put it in the oven together.
Oh,
No.
no. I don't do that. Although, if you are going to make a lot, you can toast the bread first, fill it, and then when it's time to serve to your guests, you can heat it in the oven just for a few minutes. Even just an oven toaster will do. Here's the store-bought patty shell. Very pretty. Just remove the cap. Remove that. Okay.
Can you buy that in an ordinary grocery?
Well, I
The shell? Where did you get it?
found it at Dulcinea, and Pasteleria Mallorca also carries it, but I think you have to pre-order. But it is always available in French Baker. The French Baker, diba? They're everywhere. They're in the malls. It's always available. This one's pretty, but very, very hearty, very filling. But if you pre-order in Dulcinea, I used to do that. If you pre-order like a week or two before, they can make smaller sizes for you. Because see, for parties, this will be very hard to finish.
Yes, it looks very big. So we just say bread crust,
Patty shells.
patty shells. Okay, so it's called patty shells.
Pastry. Don't go there and expect to have the different sizes. You will have to pre-order if you go to Dulcinea. But at French Baker, this was the only size I found. There. And then top with cheddar cheese. Then you can transfer this into trays so you can heat in the oven just for a few seconds or minutes, just until the cheese is slightly brown. Or maybe you don't even have to brown it. It's really up to you. There you go. And
Wow, it really looks appetizing.
just because I have parsley, okay, and have some here and a little here. There you go. I hope it's clear enough. There's your chicken a la king.
Very nice. It's a chicken a la Diane. And as Diane mentioned, the same filling can be used as the filling for crepe,
Yes.
and chicken Alexander,
And the quesadilla.
and the quesadilla. Okay, thank you. So with that, I think people will of course feel thirsty, Diane.
Yes.
And
I
it's summer already. I can feel the heat.
I had to include beverages because while preparing for this webinar, it was so hot. Okay, let's have the recipes now.
Okay.
All right. Agua fresca. Agua fresca is really just water and fruit. It only has three basic ingredients: water, any fruit, and sugar or syrup. Okay. The first one is very basic, quite common, but one of my son's favorites, the cucumber lime soda. Combine in a pitcher, a liter, that's 4 cups of any lemon lime soda. It can be Sprite, 7 Up. 1 cup, 1 can of soda water, any brand. 1 lemon sliced into rounds, a half cucumber, also sliced into rounds, mint leaves, and ice cubes. You just combine everything in a nice see-through pitcher. Okay. Then I don't usually drink it at once. I wait 30 minutes, an hour. I add the ice cubes when the guests are here already or when we're ready to eat. The second one is even easier. It's just infused water. It's orange and basil. Basil actually goes with anything. It can be with strawberry also, but I like oranges. So whole orange and just dump some bay leaves. I mean basil leaves, and then like I said, put it in the ref a few hours to infuse. I read a recipe for the same, what infused water. It added a slice or two of turmeric. So if you like that flavor, you can add a slice or two to your pitcher also. And then this next recipe, the pineapple orange watermelon. This is special to me because in the 70s, when I was always going to my best friend's house, hi Chayong, her mom, Tita Glo Consulta, she would, she was ready to serve guests. She had a lot of kids, so they were always visiting, having practices in the house. So she was always ready with Coke. Coke was bottomless in their house. But I liked it when she served us this pineapple orange watermelon juice. She just actually combines canned pineapple orange with chunks of watermelon. But for today, I I prepared some watermelon balls just so it's prettier, and if you put it in nice glasses, it's gonna look special. Kita ba?
Okay, maybe we can not share the screen with your that offer so that we can see. Yes, we can see it now. Wow.
To you, Tita Glo. She was my first cooking and baking mentor because I was always in her house. I was in her house so often. She decided to teach me some of her favorite recipes. This is for you, Tita Glo, your watermelon and pineapple orange juice. Cheers!
So that's very easy to do. Just the watermelon balls and orange juice and
One
water.
time I did this as a slush. I blended it with crushed ice or even just ice cubes. Then I placed it in the freezer. After 4 hours, it was very, very refreshing. Slushy. I had to scoop it out. That's another.
Do you have a favorite brand of orange juice, Diane?
Oh, well, this
So
is
that
just canned Del Monte pineapple orange juice.
yes, Del Monte pineapple orange juice. Yes.
I drink
So
it.
that will have the same taste as what you're having right now.
Yes.
Okay.
And of course,
Anything else? Yeah.
choose the sweet watermelon kasi yun lang ang sweetener niya because the canned juice isn't really very sweet. But if you get good watermelon, it's going to be very nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go back to our screen. Was there anything else that you'd like to share with us
This one
for
I really
this summer?
yeah, this one I really like because it combines tea with fruit to make punch. Okay. First, you make your syrup, the chamomile syrup. You combine water and sugar, and you simmer until the sugar is completely dissolved, and remove from heat. Add your chamomile bags. For this recipe, I use 3 bags of chamomile, and I let it rest I steeped it for 30 minutes before putting in the refrigerator. Once it was cool, in a pitcher or in a punch bowl, I poured a liter of grapefruit juice. I just used the box juice, unless you have fresh grapefruit which you want to blend or squeeze. I think for this recipe I use Ceres grapefruit, but Tipco also has grapefruit. And then I added a cup of sliced strawberries. Then I poured the chamomile syrup and some ice cubes. For garnish, you just float fresh grapefruit if you have, and if you can find chamomile flowers, it's going to be pretty also.
That's so nice. So aside from the chamomile tea, is there any other tea that would also work well with this?
Well, I use chamomile because it's decaf, so I can drink this any time of the day, even in the evenings.
I
I think you can also use green tea, but better have it for brunch or lunch because you'll be up all night.
yes, that's right. Okay, thank you, Diane. That's so nice. So I think now we're ready
Are you
to.
scale for one more recipe, which I
Yes, yes. Do we have? Okay, let's have a bonus one.
yeah we no well this is because I wanted something really quick because I wasn't sure we're going to have time. Let's just make let's just make affogato. I already kept this in the freezer. Here. This is just vanilla ice cream, 2 scoops. And then can you remove this? We have different toppings, the garnishes here. Okay, for this recipe, you don't really need much, and even if you don't have time, it's going to be very easy to prepare. If you don't, well, affogato means to drown. So we're drowning the vanilla ice cream in coffee. Traditionally, it's made with espresso, but if you don't have an espresso maker, like me, I don't have, you can buy espresso powder, or you can even just use instant coffee granules. And if you want to serve this for dinner, you can use decaf coffee, so you won't be palpitating the whole night. So for 2 scoops of ice cream, you can measure a shot. A shot is about 50 ml, but we don't really have to be so exact about it. This one's the coffee. Oh, I used for this coffee, I used 2 tablespoons of coffee granules and 3/4 cup of water. But of course, it's really up to you how strong or how weak you want your coffee to be. So you just pour a little. Okay. And then sweeten with some chocolate syrup. You can use caramel also. Okay. Um, you can decorate with wafer sticks. You can put some toasted almonds, or you can put a wafer. You can also put some lady fingers. So there, that's an instant dessert. Took less than a minute to put together. But
Very nice. And if they have young kids, this is something that they can do together.
and you can also use coffee ice cream if you like coffee on coffee, or even chocolate.
Yes, maybe for the kids, a chocolate drink instead of coffee.
Yes, and like I said, the coffee doesn't have to be strong. You can use decaf.
Yes, yes, nice. Thank you very much, Diane. So I think now we are ready to entertain some questions.
Right.
Um, Now, while people are thinking of their questions, I did mention that this webinar is co-sponsored by our BS Tourism Management, and we have there's our students with us. Larise and Gwen, are you there? Hi.
Hello, Miss Gail.
Yes. Did you enjoy watching our demonstration today? Did you learn a lot?
Yes po, I enjoyed
Okay.
a lot din po.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, can you tell us briefly while people are thinking of their questions, how what is your program about?
Okay po, our program offers a major that combines travel and food for future tourism professionals. This is a response to the UN Sustainable Development Goals and the current situation of the industry due to the pandemic. And not to mention, we are actually the first tourism school to offer such a major.
Okay, that's
And
nice to know.
and then also in addition to that, the tourism program that majors in sustainable food management deals with the work of being able to provide the utmost quality and service while achieving social, cultural, economic, and environmental goals. It also covers the food value chain, focusing on the method of balance between the effective use of natural resources, food security value creation, and entrepreneurial tourism opportunities.
Well, thank you, girls. So, of course, we are in a pandemic now. So, how are you learning culinary during the pandemic?
We are learning through webinars organized by the Makers Cafe. In the webinar, we had a lot of opportunities to interact with international chefs and business owners who happily share their culinary experiences with us. We are also taking culinary and food and beverage classes that opened our eyes on the exciting and creative world of culinary arts. Since this is a skill based program, demonstration is really hard but exciting. My family can taste my output, so we get to hone our culinary skills at home and at the same time enjoy it because my family enjoys the dishes that I cook. We are also learning a lot by the guidance of our competent and committed chefs that also serves as our inspiration.
Yes, I know that MC also has its own kitchen, and that's where many of us also learned how to cook, even if we are old now. So, also, okay, so what kind of jobs do you think that you'll get into after you graduate?
After we graduate, we're hoping to work in travel and tours. Everyone is dreaming to become a cabin crew of any airline, a hotelier in a five-star hotel, a chef in a restaurant, or maybe own their own restaurant. Provide assistance to tourists and travelers, to be a boss of any tourism company, or just want to seek to save the world. So, if you have these things in mind, the Department of Leisure and Tourism Management will provide you a new flavor in tourism education. And I also guarantee you that it would also provide you a lot of great opportunities that could help you in the future, just like what was given to me and to us. Because I was able to become one of the champions in the ASEAN Indian Hackathon, and I am more than grateful to be part of it. And lastly, if you are looking for elegant and relevant education, we offer that in Miriam College because Miriam College is your best choice for your future.
Thank you, girls. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for co-sponsoring this event. So, I think there are some questions. Thank you, Gwen and Loris. Nina and Jay, do you have questions for Diane? Let's start with Jay.
Hello, Miss. Good afternoon po. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Miss Diane. Thank you for a very insightful demonstration with your recipes. We hope that we will be able to make them soon for ourselves and our family. And so, I just want to ask. I'm very curious about this. For every MC graduate, when you were a student in Miriam, what were the MC values or virtues that you thought was very significant or important to your life, and how do these things affect you throughout the years, especially now in this present time?
Yes, of course, Miriam taught me to be a devotee of Mother Mary. Um, I learned to treasure the friendships I made in Miriam. I loved all my teachers, even the terrors. I love them all. Um, Miriam training, because of our extracurricular activities, our sports, our intramurals, it taught me time management, which is very important. And it can't be all academics, it can't be all studies. These sports events, these clubs, they're very important. Up to now, that's what I keep I keep imparting to my children. That's why all three of them were into sports, because it will develop discipline in them, which really pays off up to now.
See, Diane, your lifelong friends are in the photo, and maybe some of them are watching you right now. They really stay with you through thick and thin. Okay, another question, I think, from Nina. Nina Cruz.
Hi, good day po. Thank you for the informative and fun demonstration. So, I would like to ask regarding our current situation po. How does the pandemic affected you and how are you adjusting?
Yes, yes. In March of 2020, my operations were rudely interrupted. I wasn't planning on retiring that soon, but I felt due to safety and health concerns, it was better to just close the restaurant. And it's been more than a year and I'm still closed. It makes me sad, but it doesn't mean that I've been idle. In fact, I feel I've been even busier and more tired this whole year because without my staff, I do almost everything myself. I don't have my regular cook with me. I don't have those kitchen helpers, those dishwashers. So it's just really me and my home staff doing the baking. But one constraint was I can't accept party trays anymore because if I'll have to bake and cook at the same time, the quality will suffer. I will be exhausted. So for this past year, 13 months, I've been mostly just baking, accepting orders for desserts here at home with my two helpers.
Yes,
Very
I think, Diane, you've been coping really well, and I know you're still very busy with your kitchen, even without A La Diane. It continues on.
And because of the restrictions, the curfews, not being able to go out, I noticed that my cost increased because, syempre, since I can't really, go around sourcing, sometimes I just settle for whatever's available, and it's usually more expensive. But that's it. This isn't going to be forever.
Thank you so much, Miss Diane Ramos, for sharing your story with us and for sharing with us easy recipes that the entire family can enjoy. Thank you also to the Leisure Tourism Management Department of Miriam College for your participation. To all our viewers, I hope you learned a few things that will elevate your home-cooked meals to share over the dining table. So, what are you waiting for? Gather the family and whip up something yummy in the kitchen, like the hearty beef vegetable soup or the chicken quesadilla. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Remember what Julia Child said, people who love to eat are always the best people. This has been Mirmatico Ortiz. See you again next week here at our sacred space, our peaceful classroom.